Florida State fans, what did you want for Christmas? How about a wide receiver? How about two? Maybe a DB? Throw one of those in as well. Welcome to Seminoles Live. We come your way every Wednesday night, 6 o'clock Eastern time is when we do it. And it doesn't happen without this guy, Logan Robinson, Noel Game Day. Logan, how you doing?
Good evening, Mark. Happy holidays. We've made it through the holidays. I love getting all that over with. Now I get to kind of chillax a little bit and get back into some good bowl games. Hopefully, I haven't even watched a bowl game yet this season because none of them have been really good to me nor attractive. I mean, it's been awful. And most of them are getting postponed anyways, left and right. So it's been weird, but it's given us enough time to spend time with family. And so that's nice to get a little break away from the computer and phone. So I'll take that any day of the week. But now I'm ready to kind of get back into the groove and wake some things up. It's been a quiet week and a half regarding Florida State news. I know there's some transfers we'll talk about, but it's been pretty quiet.
Man, I've been watching a ton of bowl games.
See, now that's your job.
I do.
I'm used to now not having to watch a lot of bowl games. Definitely with Florida State not making them. We don't want to go talk about that. We'll have the Miami fans in here, but
you got your favorite team playing right now.
Oh God, who is that?
Clemson's playing right now.
Clemson is. I forgot the Alamo Bowl is tonight, isn't it?
That one's a little bit later. We got the Cheez-It Bowl right now with Clemson and Iowa State.
Oh, okay. So now these are some good bowl games then.
The Power Five's kicking in here in the last day or two.
Yeah.
So, I got the DVR rolling.
I can't believe it. I can't even believe this game is going on right now. I mean, I don't see it anywhere on social media. Nothing's going on. And wow, it's a weird, like, I think with all these bowl games being canceled, postponed, like people are just not in it this year. They're just not caring about talking about it as much as usual. It's weird.
Yeah, I think between COVID and players opting out and players transferring in situations like Emory Jones at Florida, who's playing the last game at Florida, but he's transferring, so he's not even going to be on the team anymore. Crazy situations like that we've never seen before, where either guys are playing their final game for a team and everybody knows they're already transferring, or there's been a couple situations like with Braxton Burmeister, the Virginia Tech quarterback, where he announced that he's going into the transfer portal, and he wanted to play the bowl game for Virginia Tech, and they said, no, we don't need you to play. We want people that are going to be here next season to play.
Yeah, now it's all about transfer portal, which brings in clicks, and it is definitely entertaining. It just kind of stinks, and hopefully once this COVID thing, I feel like we said this last year, but we have to say it again, hopefully this COVID thing will dwindle off, so then none of these games are getting canceled. Everybody's brackets can stay alive and even be able to work with them. But definitely very weird. I didn't even know Clemson was playing tonight whatsoever, so it's weird, very weird.
All right, well, we'll get to the Florida State news, and everybody leave your comments and questions right here in the live chat, and we will get to them. But let's get to the news of the week, which involves transfer wide receivers and a DB. So let's start with the most well-known. That's Micah Pittman coming in from Oregon. So he's been on the field quite a bit. He's caught 38 passes in his career, a couple touchdowns his freshman season at Oregon, caught 12 passes this past season. Oh, we lost you. Uh-oh.
There we go.
There we go. We got you.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. StreamYard keeps on messing with me with this microphone. But yeah, Micah Pittman coming in. He's going to be able to have a chance to play very early on, if not be a starter on day one. And what the funny thing is, Kenny Dillingham, before he left, was recruiting him very hard. Went and visited him, had an in-home visit over there on the West Coast, talked with him, and that kind of really helped seal the deal of bringing Pittman to Tallahassee. And, I think he kind of wanted to test something new. He came out of high school, highly talented guy, can make plays. He also can play well on special teams at punt return. If anybody's seen some of his highlights, he can play that very well, which adds an extra attribute to him and what he'll bring to Florida State. But overall, you're just bringing another potential starter there, a wide receiver, which you'd like to see because they are very thin. A lot of it is also relying on Destin Hill, which we'll probably talk about in a little bit. But the wide receiver room has got still maybe I think a little bit more work to do. I don't think they're done yet. I know we'll talk about Wilson here too, but Micah Pittman should be able to come in and contribute right away. He's skilled. He's really good with the ball. He handles it well. And he can also make some really nice catches too. But I think his biggest advantage is him with the ball in his hands and yards after the catch. So interested to see how he gets going. I know he and Jordan Travis have become very close. I think Jordan Travis was key too in that recruitment. Florida State starting quarterback, and I believe they're trying to room together this upcoming season. So Micah Pittman should be a really good addition. He brings in his brand too. He's got a good following on his YouTube channel, and he does vlogs with his girlfriend who plays basketball at Oregon. So he'll be bringing his brand with him too. So it'll be fun to watch him and get kind of an inside look behind the scenes kind of Florida State, maybe the football program and what is allowed and what he's going to be doing. But pretty good guy. I think that is going to represent Florida State pretty well. You got competition coming, Mark, on YouTube.
Well, I got a lot of competition on YouTube, so that's nothing new. We'll take them on one by one.
Yeah.
So with Micah Pittman, I guess we'll get a look behind the scenes into a long distance relationship now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know, right? We'll see. I'm interested to see if the Lady Knoll will be coming. Someone spotted her. One of our people in the Discord actually had a flight with her over to Tallahassee. So interested to see if maybe she'll be making a transfer also over here. She was the Kentucky women's basketball player of the year, or Kentucky player of the year too in high school. So she's a baller. She can play. So I mean, Florida State women's basketball too with Coach Sue is always very highly respected. So we'll see if the duo will come here from Oregon. But Mike, I think, will be a great addition to the locker room. It seems like he's got a really good head on his shoulders, and I think the offense and what Kenny Dillingham at first recruiting him wise, that it was good to see Kenny Dillingham leave on a note like that. And best of luck to Kenny going over to Oregon. But you got to see that Kenny really was still doing his job and talking very highly of Florida State and doing his thing before while in negotiations of taking that offensive coordinator position with Dan Lanning at Oregon.
Yeah, if you check out Micah Pittman's numbers, and I've seen him play a ton of times, he was never the one option. He was never the two. He's more about a 3 in terms of what he was doing with Oregon. Like I say, I like to check out what guys did against the better competition on the schedule, and he was catching his 2 or 3 balls a week pretty much consistently, starting with his freshman season, caught 3 against USC, 3 against Colorado, 4 against Cal, had a 4-catch game in the Rose Bowl against Wisconsin. And then the last 2 years, he's been nicked up a little bit, wasn't on the field quite as much. Had a 66-yard play this past season against Stanford in the pass game, and played his last game against Washington for Micah Pittman. So that's Micah Pittman coming in from Oregon. Then, as you mentioned, we got Johnny Wilson. Arizona State, so he caught 12 passes as well this past season with a touchdown.
Yeah, no, so the one cool thing about this, well, number one, 6'7", is pretty impressive, I think. FSU fans are going to start thinking of former Noel Greg Carr and instantly think corner route in the end zone, red zone threat there, and absolutely. The funny thing is this kid can move. We haven't seen a lot of them in college, obviously, but what's crazy is Johnny and also Micah Pittman both played in high school together. In Calabasas, they both played on the same team and played very well. They were a pretty nasty tandem. We put out a piece on it a couple of days ago, which is a pretty cool highlight of them just absolutely wrecking opponents in high school. But he brings a 6'7" build. He's very tall, obviously, and he can catch the ball. He can move with the ball. I'm not looking at him to be a day one starter or come in and take over anybody's spot that's maybe on the team currently, but he's going to add some depth that Florida State needs. And, definitely as a red zone threat. Florida State would love that. I mean, Florida State used to have Auden Tate that would go up and grab those balls, and Florida State really doesn't have that right now. Really, the only guy that I can think of would be Portier or Malik McLean, but this is a just kind of different animal height-wise. So look at him being a red zone threat for Florida State. But the biggest thing, these two were a tandem in high school. Interested to see if they can kind of get a groove going here in Tallahassee with Wilson and Pittman.
Yeah, the last time Johnny Wilson was on the field was against Colorado. 4 catches, 70 yards. Pretty productive day. Actually, the most productive day of his career the last time he was on the field this past season. And then going over to the defense, we got Greedy Vance coming in from Louisville.
Yep, Greedy Vance was yesterday around noon o'clock. He hit the commitment, got the edit out, and said that he's picking Florida State. He seems like he's really excited. He posted a couple of videos of him being in Doak at some games in his past yesterday. He also posted about his former high school teammate Destin Hill, which is still a unicorn to a lot of Florida State fans. Florida State fans want to see Destin Hill. I think the coaching staff absolutely wants to see Destin Hill. If Greedy Vance posted on his Instagram story with the graphic of Destin Hill's commitment graphic to Florida State and said, "Can't wait to play with you, fam." So, 2 Louisiana guys coming in, hopefully with Destin Hill and arms, but Greedy Vance, going back to him, played a good little bit last year, mainly at corner. The one thing about him, listed as around 5'10", 155. I'm told he's a little bit bigger than that now, but still a very small DB that is very small. I think I saw a picture of him going against Cameron McDonald, Florida State's tight end last year, and didn't look so pretty. But
155, huh?
155 pounds. That's what Louisville's roster is saying that he weighs. So 5'10", 155. I think he's got another 15 pounds on that maybe, and an inch taller. But we'll see. We'll see whenever he gets here. But that's definitely a smaller DB that you'll be able to add to the rotation. I talked to him. He said that the staff is looking at him not just being at a corner, but kind of all over the place in the DB room. So I think it's definitely more of a depth piece. I think Florida State is still looking for another corner to add there. It'll be interesting because you got two guys that Florida State has that I think they're really happy about after last season with true freshman Kevin Knowles along with Amarian Cooper. Those two really showed out. We've talked about them both on the show quite a bit throughout the season and their emergence and improvement as true freshmen, but they still want to add some more talent back there. And they definitely, I think, still need a guy that can be a lockdown corner. And I'm interested to see who that will be. Brownlee is coming into the season last year, was supposed to be that guy, but too inconsistent. Jarian Jones, too inconsistent. Travis J, way too inconsistent. Still a lot of work to be done there at those corner positions, in my opinion. And interested to see if some of these young guys will come out. Maybe a Demore Tate out of nowhere. We'll see. But that's an update there for Florida State's transfers. There's still, I think, some more work to be done. Definitely in defensive end, where we're looking at Jared Versay. That is a big time talented guy that has offers from almost everywhere now. But I think it's really between Florida State and Tennessee on landing him. I know he wants to make his decision before classes begin. I know that he really would like to get on campus soon, wherever he decides to pick. And he said that he'd like to do this by the end of December, if not really, really early January. So we're looking at within most likely a week or so for Jared Versay, which, if nobody's looked at his film, really, really talented guy. Played at a lower level, but absolutely dominated. Didn't even look fair. And this would be a really good piece to put in place of losing Jermaine Johnson last year. He'd be an instant starter. He'd probably be your best starter. Most certainly probably a defensive end for Florida State once he arrives.
Got about 70 on the line. Leave those comments and questions. We see that there are some there in the live chat. We'll get to them in just a second. We got Logan Robinson here, as we always do, from Knoll Game Day. And we've been doing this for 138 weeks.
Woo.
Good Lord. Can you believe it?
And we still like each other, too.
We do.
We still like each other,
I'm not
even
going to
when
talk about anybody that's not here necessarily, but as for everybody that's here,
yeah. Even with us going against Jason for days upon days about Willie Taggart and Mike Norvell, we still like one another. We do.
absolutely.
I promise.
Absolutely. So I know everybody's missing Jason. Hopefully he'll be back for us next week. All right. Before we move this on with about 70 on the line, I want to let everybody know to bring some folks with you next Wednesday. So let's get the crowd increased into triple digits next week and maybe a little bit later in the hour this week. Head on over to Knoll Game Day. Logan, what you got going on over there?
Right now, it's definitely quiet, but I think some things are brewing. There's definitely some things brewing. It's just a little quiet right now. Holidays, let everybody be with family and things, but you never know what's going on behind the scenes. And so we're going to keep an eye out on some potential transfers along with potential staff changes. All of that's going to be going into our Discord right away. We'll also have our show tonight at 9 o'clock to recap the whole 2021 season, do Q&A, talk transfers, staff changes, and all of that kind of stuff. So that's at 9 p.m. on our YouTube channel. But other than that, just kind of chilling and relaxing, trying to find any kind of thing of content nowadays. It's hard now. It's being so quiet. Florida State doesn't have a bowl game once again. I'm like, oh my God, I got to post another Deion Sanders piece. Oh my God, help me. Oh God, please. But yeah, just chilling right now until some things start becoming public, which I'm expecting a pretty busy week next week.
Has anything else been said since National Signing Day from Deion or Travis Hunter about the decision that was made and why it was made, or anything else come to light?
Deion has said, that money wasn't the deal, with anything. That's not why Travis Hunter came to Jacksonville State. That's not why he signed. But he then, talked about Mike Norvell and said that he's a heck of a coach and respects him, but this was just recruiting. This is recruiting business, and that's how it goes. I know a lot of people are ticked off at Deion, and I understand that. I think too, the way it went down with Travis Hunter was just not the greatest. It was almost disrespectful to a lot of the Florida State staff and to the fan base too, that were really pulling for him. Since the recruitment and that relationship at Florida State, it stinks. It is what it is, but Florida State's going to move on. Mike does a really good job. I think that's one thing about him. He does a really good job whenever he gets hit and takes an L. He kind of bounces back and usually finds an answer. So I'm interested to see what he does with a definitely chip on his shoulder. He's a competitive guy from things I've heard. I've just seen him in person too as a coach at practices and such. This guy is full of energy. He's doing a lot of things behind the scenes that I don't think people think he's doing. I don't know. I mean, I know people think Nick Saban's doing this. You've got homeboy Lincoln Riley over there on the West Coast now. There's a lot of coaches that, like Dabo Sweeney too, that everybody's doing things behind the scenes. And Mike Norvell is one of those coaches. He's not just sitting there. So interested to see how Florida State answers and how this class does, because I felt like too, the class that Travis Hunter helped build, majority of helped build that class, that kind of didn't go so well between them two. So we'll see how it goes. I'm excited too. I know we have a comment here from Richard Bass on Alex Atkins, but him being promoted to offensive coordinator, I think is great. Another key way of keeping him, let's be honest, but I think that's great for Florida State and offensive line recruiting. The 2022 class was fantastic on the front offensive line. I know Travis Hunter news was the big disappointing one. Maybe Marvin Jones Jr. too, Tyree West ended up picking the defensive lineman that picked Tennessee. But if you want to be happy about something big, that offensive line group that's coming in was one of the best in the country. So Coach Atkins and what he does already at the offensive line, but also bringing it into maybe an offensive coordinator position. Mike Norvell's still going to be the heavy guy there calling plays. I think he'll be playing a more pivotal role than last year, I believe, with Kenny Dillingham. But Coach Atkins is very highly respected. Coach Atkins will not be at Florida State very much longer. I'll go and tell you that. But another way of just keeping them here and sealed down is what you got to do to put him at a co-offensive coordinator. So I'm excited. I'm excited for him. And He absolutely deserves it because he's kind of getting out of his position group and recruiting a few guys too, from what I've been told. So that's just how well he is as a recruiter.
And despite the disappointments on National Signing Day, it is the second-ranked class in the ACC, despite only 15 signed. So that number is going to go up by the first Wednesday of February. So it's a really good class at number 14 in the country.
Yeah, no, there's definitely a lot to like. There's a lot of talent there. There's just some needs that Florida State has got to figure out a solution to before February, before signing day.
Yeah,
like there's got to be some fixes, definitely either in the transfer portal or it's going to have to come through recruits. Linebacker, defensive end are two pivotal spots right now, with wide receiver room starting to fill back up. But I don't think they're done yet. A lot of Florida State's key starters last year didn't get signed with Florida State until a little bit later during the offseason. So last year. So keeping an eye out on being able to find these needs. You can't just have one linebacker signed in a class like that, and you don't have any other help too. I mean, you've got a running back, more of an athlete, in my opinion, with Rodney Hill signed, but still you got to find some depth at the future for running back too. There's a lot of areas that Florida State has got to do a real better job at. And, it seems like Florida State on early signing day, they had all these visits, things were going great, relationships, but man, they're being told something differently. And definitely they've got to be able to shut down and have these last visits with guys. That's something that has hindered Florida State. I think they've done a fantastic job at building these relationships, getting Kamari Wilson, getting all these guys that, we would have never thought that would be in contention for Florida State, to where some of these guys are saying, Florida State was my number 2, but ended up going here, ended up going there. They've got to get better at I feel like understanding what these kids are actually telling them, because I feel like they're kind of being gypped in a couple ways.
All right, folks, this is what we need you to do. I want you to hit the like button, subscribe right here at the Voice of College Football, and also let other people know that we're here every Wednesday night at 6:00 Eastern time. So the way other people know that we're talking Florida State football every week is not from us, because we do everything we can to get the word out. It's going to come from you. So please let people know on social media, Twitter, Facebook, or just text them, talk to them directly. Let people know that we're here talking college football, Florida State, every Wednesday. But at the top of the list, no game day, Patreon. Get over there, lock in. If you love Florida State football enough to be on here on Wednesday night, lock in on Patreon, and that thing's going to kick in. I got to think, even though it's been a little mild, a little quiet during the holidays, it's going to kick in here during one of your favorite times, Logan. So what, like the 15th or 20th, the boys will be back on campus, and then they'll be pumping the iron.
Yeah, they will. This is my favorite time of the year. I'm excited to see who's putting in the most work, who's getting bigger, who's getting the squats in. I'm very excited. There's no better time to have tour of duty going on, which Mike Norvell and Coach Storms, that's their strength and conditioning offseason program that they call it, tour of duty. And they're going to get after it. But in the Discord, we'll be posting a lot of things and what we're hearing, who's lifting the most weights, who's looking good, who showed up in great shape to start off the offseason. So the spring should be a very fun one to cover, and we'll soon be able to see a lot of these early enrollees come in too. AJ Duffy, Sam McCall, along with the others. I'm excited to see some of these offensive linemen. Quashawn Sapp looks absolutely gigantic. Florida State's got some big boys coming in, so it's just perfect. This is my time to shine right here when we got some big boys coming in, lifting some weights. So the spring should be fun to cover. But yeah, we'll be hopping into the Discord and posting a lot of things. I'm excited. And I know a lot of people were disappointed with the early signing day, and I think a lot of people were thinking, Marvin Jones Jr. didn't happen. It kind of stinks. I thought Florida State was in a good spot there, but I mean, Georgia's got the bags. They got the bags, and they offered a really nice NIL package to them and presented that very well, and that's how it sealed the deal. Dad didn't look too crazy happy, but happy for his son, and is what it is. And you lose Tyree West to Tennessee. which didn't think, not a lot of people saw that happening, but Tennessee jumped in late there and grabbed him. Florida State's, got a big offseason ahead. This is a big time year for Mike Norvell, and it's going to be fun to cover. And, we'll be on here all the time and grinding as usual.
Your boy Chubba Purdy got a offer from Nebraska.
Yeah, we put out a little piece on that. I know people say, "Oh, I don't want to hear about Seminoles and stuff," but it's something definitely to keep an eye on. He actually, received it from Nebraska. I believe Pittsburgh was the first one to offer him. They had an in-home visit, and then I believe the QB coach or offensive coordinator coach went to Nebraska and then got offered over there. Yep. So he gets the offer. So that's something to keep a close eye out on where he goes. A lot of Seminoles heading down to FAU too to join Willie Taggart. So best of luck to them, right?
Absolutely.
I know there's a couple questions in here, Mark, about Brandon Jennings, who was a former Florida State commit, legacy guy, and I don't see that happening. A lot of bridges were burned during that decommitment and taken away commitment from Florida State, and the staff just seems like something didn't go too well with Florida State side and Brandon Jennings. So I don't think Florida State's going to continue or go pursue Brandon Jennings. I don't see that happen. I know Florida State is a needle linebacker, but at some point too, you also don't want to ruin what you've been trying to build and change out of that locker room at Florida State. So as of right now, I think those bridges have been burned too far for Brandon Jennings, former FSU commit, legacy guy. Dad played at Florida State. Don't see it happening right now unless Florida State gets really desperate in the end, but I don't see that happening.
So Deuce Spann is a recruited quarterback to Illinois. He was a high school quarterback. He went to Illinois as a quarterback. I saw him play quite a bit this year, but they switched him to wide receiver, and he didn't get a whole lot of time, but they would usually, just send him down the sideline and toss it up to him because he can motor. He did catch a couple touchdown passes this year, 5 catches, 25 yards per catch. So they get him downfield. So is there any talk about Deuce Spann coming to Florida State? Do you know anything about that?
No, Florida State's been in contact with him. I'd be interested to see if they have him recruiting him also as a backup to potentially join Travis in some packages or some kind of way. I don't think Florida State would be really pursuing him as a starting quarterback at all. Jordan Travis has that locked down, but Deuce Spann at wide receiver would be a nice addition. Definitely a speedy guy. I believe a 4.3 40 mark. I think really fast. Yeah. But Florida State has definitely been in contact since the very beginning of him entering that transfer portal. And he's been on that list of guys that they'd love to add to that wide receiver room. So I kind of think of him maybe being the threat of a Ja'Kai Douglas, who Ja'Kai this last season was really pivotal with those fade routes on the sideline and caught them. And so using the speed there would be nice for Jordan Travis back there at quarterback. Could it be where he is a backup guy to Jordan Travis in some way because of his, Jordan Travis being not so healthy in a lot of games this last season and the year before? Staying healthy has been a big time problem for Jordan Travis. Is he coming in also to be kind of play a backup role for him? Because right now Florida State's still, trying to build some quarterback depth. Also, I'd look at seeing a transfer out of their transfer portal at the quarterback position. So something to keep an eye on. I think there should be a decision soon from him. And I think Florida State has been heavily in contact too on their side of things. So we'll keep an eye out if that's going to be the third wide receiver addition in less than a month.
So our guy William is making a comment here, which I get your point, William. I'll read it off here. If Florida State cannot get some transfers from someone like Georgia last year, besides Louisville, Arizona State, Oregon, this team will take a step backwards next year. Transfers from lower tier programs, no help. Okay. Before Logan jumps on this, let me give you my 2 cents. Is that Yeah, we know all you have to do is look at the recruiting rankings and the NFL draft and all that. We know where the best players in the country go, and we know what the distribution is. It's obvious. Fill in the blank: Georgia, LSU, Ohio State, wherever. But there are good football players everywhere. Again, look at an NFL draft. You will see players drafted from Kansas and Rutgers and Oregon State and the like. So there are, and then if you really look at a lot of the transfers that come in and help some of the top programs in the country, they're coming in from the FCS. They're coming in from all over. So there's a lot of FCS players playing in the NFL right now. So I wouldn't be quick to judge that every player that comes in has to be from Georgia or LSU or Oklahoma or Ohio State or somewhere like that. Even if you're going to places like Oregon, considering that a lower tier program, Oregon's a top 10 to 12 program in the country. Andrew Parchment, Kansas, worst Power 5 program in the country over the last 5 to 10 years. And he's going to sign an NFL contract. So let's not get too hung up on that. It's about talent. It's about need. It's about fit.
Yeah. Now, then some of them I know aren't like we said earlier. They're not going to be pivotal starters day one. Yeah. But building depth wise, that's what Florida State is wanting to do. They got to do that at wide receiver room, no matter what. And two, there's some of these guys are 2-3 years that they have left in eligibility, which is huge for Florida State too. So you're almost bringing in a new recruit into your class, which is nice. So this is just the whole part of the new game that Florida State's having to get into with the transfer portal, and they've done a fantastic job. If there's anything that we can't say against Mike Norvell and what they've done is they've done a fantastic job in the transfer portal, and some of these guys being day one starters, Jamie Robinson, obviously Jermaine Johnson, Jashawn Corbin, guys coming in immediately and playing starting roles. Jarian Jones has played there. He's been inconsistent here and there, but there's been some really good transfers that Florida State has brought in, and I'll be interested to see what they do further in this transfer portal. I think there's going to be some more higher targets after bowl season. After bowl season ends and these meetings are done and finalized with these coaches and these guys hit the transfer portal, there's going to be some more things to pick from the crop that Florida State can do a really good job at, because they have built a really nice resume. And, definitely with how Jared Versay, this defensive end, he talked about it with Dustin, our lead writer and editor at NoleGameDay.com, and said that it was really a big key for him and learning stuff from Jermaine Johnson and Keir Thomas, both transfers from Georgia and also South Carolina. That was huge for him learning. Really, that was the biggest thing. And what he took away from Florida State is really what they put out on the field and how well they did and what I could potentially bring to Florida State immediately. So the resumes have been built, just a little bit of patience. I know some of these guys aren't crazy, wildly, talented, blah, blah, blah. But, right now you're trying to build some depth, and there's going to be some more names that become available after this bowl season. Just a little bit of patience.
As we talked about a few minutes ago, 15 signees in the early signing period. What do we expect that number to land on? What would be your guess?
Guess right now it'd probably be, since we're at 15 as of now, I would think 18 to 19. I think Florida State is going to want to add whatever, more there. It's going to have to be linebacker. It's going to have to be defensive line, defensive end. Those are key areas that Florida State wants to build. They're not going to, recruit wise out of high school, they're not going to find a quarterback, but look at the transfer portal though, on that side of things. Cause I think they want to add a quarterback if they can to build some depth there, because right now, after losing Trevor Purdy, you're losing Mackenzie Milton. You just got Jordan Travis and Tate Rodemaker right now. And like we talked about earlier, Jordan Travis, biggest thing really hindering him right now is staying healthy throughout, just a game, even throughout the season. But whenever he's fully healthy, it's a different animal. So look at the quarterback room that Florida State is going to have to try to find an answer to, a building depth behind Jordan Travis. And so, I think being 18, 19 is probably a good number to bet on.
I'm trying to think who else is out there because most of the quarterbacks have been snapped up. But Zach Calzada, Texas A&M, still out there. Shoot, I can't think of anybody else. Just about everybody else I can think of has found a team, but there's got to be a few other guys. Emory Jones, Florida, is out there. Those two guys with starting experience for big-time programs. There's got to be a few guys I'm not thinking of.
And I had a name earlier, and I just completely lost it. But the thing is, there's just so much stuff going on. I mean, there's so many guys that are going to hit the transfer portal, and some are just going to have to come back to their schools, which is kind of the wildness of the transfer portal now. It is absolutely wild.
Yeah, so our guy D-Rock Irish is telling us, I don't know where he got this number, but he got it right there, I guess, from the transfer portal Twitter site, that only 23% of athletes that have entered the transfer portal have found a new team.
That sounds about right. Guys are risking it too. They're risking it for a biscuit, and it'll be interesting to watch how these kids find a spot. I'm interested too to watch Purdy and figure out where he ends up going to, because I feel like he's a talented quarterback, and surprised he doesn't have so many offers unless they're secretly behind closed doors, and he's had a good amount of them. Surprised he hasn't had so many offers there. So that could be a whole nother conversation, but interested to see Florida State. I'd love to have Purdy there come back, but I just don't see that happening.
There's this FCS quarterback from Incarnate Word, Cameron Ward. He gets a lot of attention. I would think that you want to get a capable quarterback regardless of the style. You're going for the best player for the most part, but I would think that you would try to match Jordan Travis's skill set to a certain extent, get a similar player. You're not going to match his skill set, but a similar player, just so you're not having to, you don't want Alex Hornibrook, who's a statue, I don't think, to be the backup for Jordan Travis, and you've got to change the offense and the play calling and revamp everything, and you can't even run the same offense during practice effectively.
Yeah, that's what sucked with Milton. I mean, he just couldn't be mobile. Yeah. I mean, that was just one thing that really hurt him, is you had to change the whole offense, like you said, Mark, and that's what hurt them in practices. It hurt them most certainly in games. I mean, once Jordan Travis was either hurt or even in the upcoming week, and you knew Jordan Travis wasn't playing and Mackenzie Milton was there starting, they still were trying to run a hybrid offense of if still Jordan Travis was in there, but that just did not work with Mackenzie Milton. Obviously, we all saw that. So you'd like to have someone behind Jordan Travis that can maneuver that offense the same way that he can. Cameron Ward would be fantastic. I think he wants to go somewhere to start. I don't know. That's how it seems like most quarterbacks want to be. They want to go to they're leaving so they can get a spot to start somewhere, but he would be a really nice backup for Jordan Travis. I just don't know if that's if that can happen. But it stinks. That's just kind of how it's just Florida State's got to find an answer there, because you can't just have Jordan Travis and Tate Rodemaker be your backup there and a walk-on. That's just not going to work.
No.
Florida State's got to find an answer there in a lot of ways. It's still a long off season ahead.
Yeah, the other time that it seems like this portal gets flooded, at least it did last year, and I got to think the same thing's going to happen this year, is right after spring practice, when guys can kind of size up where they stand, and it's not looking too good for them, or they don't like where they stack up at their position. And then we just saw it in April last year, just get flooded.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Usually, definitely after bowl games, meetings will be held with players and coaches. And then definitely when you get into spring, where you're seeing where your name is on that depth chart when you get through that first week of practices, and then boom, they just start dropping like flies into that transfer portal. So we saw it with Florida State and what kind of additions they were able to add from that after spring. So we'll be keeping a close eye on that. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun to watch.
All right, folks, we're here every Wednesday night, 6 Eastern. So come on back next Wednesday, again, 6 Eastern time with Logan Robinson from Knoll Game Day. So check out his work right there. You can go to knollgameday.com, go to Patreon, check out the Discord, go to Knoll Game Day. I'm there. Hey, you're not going to hear from me or anything like that. I got no Florida State insight for you. So, but I'm there checking it out myself to see what they've got. So it's definitely worth it, man. If you've got $2 or $3 a month, what is it? $2.99 a month?
Yep, $2.99 a month.
That's it. $3 a month. It's like a dime a day, and you get locked in on Florida State information, insight, discussion, all that.
Everything imaginable. There's nothing better than getting ready for this offseason, getting prepared for that, and being able to hang out with some FSU fans too and talk some recruiting, transfer portal, talking college football in general, NFL, live sports, everything's going on in there. So you guys can join at patreon.com/NoGameDay. And always appreciate Mark for having us on here. Which one is this? 138.
138.
138. And Jason, this is 2 weeks in a row. I know we all had a break last week, or really just me. I know I was in Jacksonville, but Jason now is on a streak. And have we lost Jason? That's going to be the big storyline heading into next week. Did we lose Jason Parker to a Miami show? Did we lose him to a Miami show, or did one of the Miami fans find him on the street over the week? I don't know. I'm a little worried. He hasn't answered our DM.
I think everybody's got to be back here next week and bring a lot of people with you to get the answer to that mystery.
Yeah, hit the like button so then we can figure out if Jason's alive or not.
All right, everyone. Appreciate you being here. Check out the coverage on Knoll Game Day, again, on Patreon in particular, and right here at the Voice of College Football. I've got a late-night call-in show after all the bowl games, so join me. It'll be about 12:30 after the Alamo Bowl, something in that range. So we were at it until like 3:45 in the morning last night taking phone calls.
Damn.
So, yeah, we're hardcore. So these people keep calling, and I got to tell them at some point, okay, we're done taking phone calls. Let's wrap it up.
Time for bed. Well, see, you did that schedule at your past job. You were a late night guy. Yeah. So that's just
it's in me. I'm trying to get it out of me, but it's in me.
It's still crawling back to you.
Yeah, especially when I'm getting up at 8:30 in the morning, taking my daughter to breakfast, and I'm like staggering around the room.
4 hours of sleep.
Because if I'm ending a live call-in show at 3:45, I'm not sleeping until 5. So I'm wired and uploading content, and we're driving it. We are driving hard. That's it.
The college football season is not over, baby. The fun is just beginning. Definitely college football playoffs coming up.
That's it. That is it. All right, Logan. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. 2021 was fun, but hoping 2022 is a little bit better for us Florida State outlets. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
There it is. All right, man. We appreciate it.
I appreciate you, Mark.
See you next week.